Great, thank you, Paul. One of the things that I really appreciate about today's session is that working with the area members, we were able to kind of group our thoughts together. And I'm going to show you how the two presenters before me were really building up to my remarks. I'm going to talk about some research that I've done that I think would be helpful when you're trying to choose a software package or an authoring platform. And I'm going to talk to you about some trends that I found as I was studying this topic and what I think is going to happen in the future. Let's go ahead. Can we go to the next slide, please? No? Oh, I've got a clicker. Yeah, excellent. So they're back there. So I think that choosing an enterprise solution for authoring or for managing experience creation assumes that you have other things, that you know a lot about the physical world targets and the conditions in which those targets are found. You've considered what those use cases might be. You have to keep in mind what the user requirements, like whether they're going to need hands-free, or is there a projection environment? It could be inside or outside. Alex talked about the digital assets and their condition and how much information you can keep associated with them, the output device or display device. And I think the authoring tools selection is part of this bigger process of understanding what your overall project requirements will be. So to a large extent, David Merriman was speaking about how features are extracted from the physical world in order to create trackables that you then use in your authoring environment. And to a great extent, what Alex was talking about was how you prepare digital assets, or that blue cloud there, to make them acceptable and rich and as valuable as possible in your final experience. So to make sure that you see how these parts fit together, I wanted to give you my definition of what an authoring system or platform is. It combines those real-world features with the digital content, encodes them into presentation data, and assigns some interactive functions. But it doesn't stop there. There's also implied in the authoring environment is some sort of a compiling function, a publishing step, that then has some link, usually, back to a database where assets are stored and can be retrieved in real time in some logical and predefined way. I'm not going to be talking about the delivery to the client and how that execution engine works, but I do want to make sure you understand that when you publish AR experiences, it keeps in mind both the storage where the server is and the kind of execution engine that you'll be using. So, this is kind of a moving target. There are a lot of options, but I want to make sure that you understand that about a year ago, maybe 14 months ago, there was essentially, the world looked very, very different. There was essentially Metaio, Metaio's SDK, Metaio's development environment, and creator web-based solutions were the primary tools that enterprises were using. With the acquisition of Metaio, this landscape changed very dramatically. Hasn't been like instantaneous. It took quite a while, like months and almost a year, for some of these solutions to come to market. So on this screen are all over the map, some that have been around long before or at the same time as Metaio's tools, and there are authoring platforms here that have just been announced today, like Scope AR, talked about work links this morning during the keynote. So there are a lot of different kinds of tools as well. I give you the logo version and the word version, so you can sort that out and go for yourself to do some research on these. And what I think you're going to find is it's kind of like, what the heck is here? This is tough. And everybody's promoting something different. They don't have consistent ways of explaining what they provide or even what they're called. So you have people who offer SDKs who call themselves authoring environments, and you have people who provide a complete authoring environment. It's just really maddening. So I think you need to look at this in two ways. I don't say that you have to look only as a project manager or as making a decision at a corporate level. You need to be thinking about both of these. And if your focus is to complete a project, then you're going to need to think about, well, after I do this first project, am I going to do a second one and a third one? And how robust or how flexible is this tool that I'm currently using going to be for other projects in the future? And that's somewhat of a corporate question too, because if you have 10 or 100 different developers doing different AR projects in your company, maybe they're doing technical documentation like the examples Alex gave, you need to be able to integrate those into the enterprise, and you need them to be flexible at the same time. So I don't want to go through each one of these, but I think that there are really some important considerations that come back to the companies that provide you the tools don't tell you if they support, to what degree are they easy to use, or to what degree are they flexible for a variety of different indoor and outdoor conditions, different kinds of targets. So they're not really in the business of making this easy. Again, I came back to there's a lot of diversity in the tools that you saw on that list before a few slides ago. And I'm proposing that we kind of establish some conventions here and create a taxonomy so you can actually compare an apple to an apple, an orange to an orange. And what I propose is that we look at a group of tools that you can combine and mix and match, in which the top group is these engineering environments, are really software development kits that you do need some engineering and knowledge to be able to use if you're going to use them directly. But they also have plugins, and they have the ability to be used within the context of a mobile development environment like Eclipse or Xcode. And they may also work very naturally and quickly and easily within a game engine. So this is very, very popular today. When Metaio stopped providing its service, the option of using a combination of some software development kit and either an IDE or a game engine skyrocketed, and people really went to that. The problem with that is it created an app for every single thing. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of apps out there, and I don't think that that model is well suited for the long run. So it's good for piloting, and it's got some benefits, gives you a lot of control, but there's a lot of other options. So I'm proposing that we kind of assign some categories to this mix and match. Before, a few slides ago, I gave you the companies in alphabetical order. Now I'm saying, well, let's look at this in a little bit more, make a little more sense about it. I don't think that putting all of these, I don't think I put them in exactly the right place. But I simply want to propose that there is a taxonomy and that we should have a discussion about where does this belong and where should it go. So as a part of that whole discussion and looking into this further, I invited 20 companies to fill out a survey. And these were the providers that participated in that survey. If you were a provider of an authoring environment and you don't see yourself on that slide, you can still participate. I'll be happy to give you the URL, and you could go there and complete this. Now, it's not like a 5-minute multiple choice survey, right? It does have a lot of depth, and it's asking a lot of questions. In fact, I think it's about 25 different parameters. So it'll take you more than 10 minutes, but less than 30 to complete this survey. And I'm not going to show you all of the results because that would take me several hours, but I want to show you a few highlights. So one of the things is that while there is almost no support for Windows for the display device and at the end of the chain and where people would like to, in enterprise would like to use Windows tools, there's a clear preference for using a Windows development platform. So the local developer platform, there's a lot of preference for that. And there's good support. There's an acknowledgement that a web browser might just be a good interface for accessing tools, whether they're local to you or whether they're on a cloud. So let's use the things that are for what they're good for. And a web browser is a good thing to present widgets and different pop-ups and menus that give the developer flexibility and make the solution more usable. Remember, those were some of the developers' requirements: usability and flexibility and robustness. I like this because it shows that, you know, it's an equal opportunity. Basically, I asked, do you have to install your environment on a local server, local to the developer? Is it cloud-based, or do you give the option of either or? And the answer is about 40% give you the option. So you could deploy this solution in a couple of different ways, giving you more flexibility when you're deploying. And so I think this is an important criteria you should be asking your platform providers. I think that this is interesting that in this day and age already you don't need very many really rigorous software engineering skills. Yeah, there are options where they say, yes, you can use it. So this was check as many options as you like. And there were a lot at the bottom just said, yeah, just use a browser. Just, it's just a web GUI. And so that's, significant. All systems support access to a variety of digital content, so text, images, animations, and 3D models. I would say this is an area where everybody's got to keep up with the Joneses. So pretty much all of the environments are going to give you a lot of flexibility on the type of digital assets. The key here is, what about that metadata that Alex was talking about? How does that get imported? That's not being well addressed. How do you keep all this intelligence, this knowledge that was stored in the content management system before? I also found that there are a lot of platforms that have completely forgotten about geospatial. And I think that's a big oversight. And I encourage many of the platform developers to be thinking about, this is a very simple, very, very valuable piece of information about the target for that experience, and that you would do well to access some geospatial content management systems. They are they're copious in enterprises. So seems to me that that's a place we have a gap. It's broken, but the first one is proprietary AR browsers. So there's a lot of solutions that allow you to export to one generic execution engine, and they just you output, you compile, and it will be open. That experience will be viewable or will be used within an AR browser defined by the same company that provided you the authoring environment. You can't go to a Wikitude AR browser and open something that was created in another authoring environment. Doesn't that seem a bit restrictive to you? Shouldn't there be browser interoperability so that if I can publish in one environment, I can open it in another? Yeah. The second one is proprietary applications. So this is the app for that problem. And a lot of people still are thinking, I think, about prototypes and very early experimental projects. So in this sense, there's this tendency to support that as an option. It's a good option, but I think it's temporary. And hopefully in the long run, we'll have a great more consistency. This is where I don't want diversity. I would recommend let's be more consistent. I don't want one player for the whole world. I want all the players that we offer to be able to open content and view content from a variety of authoring environments. Okay, enough on that one. So just to wrap things up, in both of those who are purchasing and evaluating different authoring environments and those who provide them need to get more literate about defining what you provide and explaining to the customers, or the customers need to ask about the features, such as, how easy is it to use? Is there some way that we can codify that? Or it's very subjective, right? Usability is a subjective criteria, but maybe we could somehow simplify things. How fast can you author? Is it automated? Can you test within the application so you don't have to do all the compilation, find out it doesn't work, and then have to go back to your project? Many of them allow you to test and to preview the experience within the authoring environment. That's important. I believe that there's a tremendous amount of growth that needs to happen for integration into the enterprise content management systems. That was also something Alex brought up. There's very little understanding about business models. People don't know what to charge. And the people who are buying it, the customers, unfortunately don't know what to pay. And so we have like this confusion around pricing and business models. And does it include support, and how long, and for how many people? And do I have local language support? Is it secure? And as I've mentioned several times, can I open it in other products and platforms? So that's what I wanted to say, and that's what I wanted to share with you today, and I look forward to any questions you have during our panel.
Thank you, Chrissy.